So last time we talked about the fact that clinging, wanting, and striving is the source of all addiction and suffering. This time we're going to conclude by talking about the ingredients in the cake of want, the intellectual process that we unwittingly fall for when we choose want. So when we're done here, you'll be fully equipped, more so than ever, to take on any addiction that you're focusing on. So the first of those is gratification. The second is permanence. The third is attainability. These three ingredients make up the cake of want. The reason you want anything is because of those things. Let's take gratification. You believe ignorantly that gratification, that the value exchange you get when you fall to a temptation, when you eat a piece of cake, you eat a piece of candy that you know you shouldn't eat, you take a puff of a cigarette or a drug or you snort something or sniff something that's an illicit substance you know is destroying your life. In that moment, you become ignorant. And we talked about this last time. Ignorance is the reason for clinging, the belief that something outside of you completes you. But you also become ignorant of the fact that you're not using good judgment. The gratificational aspect of what that offers you makes you willfully ignorant of the fact that you don't really want it. Because with gratification, for instance, eating when it's not your time to eat, or taking a drug, or gambling away your mortgage, doing something out of lust, is like a spotlight. And if you guys go to my flashlight channel, Throwhound, I experiment with all this survival gear and flashlights, and there's all these spotlights, and they're really powerful, and they spot something way in the distance. It's kind of cool because that reflects my consciousness to the far end of what I'm shining at. So if I light up some cat in the bushes or somebody walking across the street, I can light them up, and it feels kind of empowering because you can expand your consciousness that way, which is what seeing is, enlightening, literally enlightening. But when I do that, I'm focused on whatever's at the end of that beam, 80 or 100 or 300 yards away. I can't see at my feet anymore. I can look and then look down and then look back, but I can't do both at the same time. And when you face gratification in want, you become willfully ignorant the same way a man becomes ignorant around a hot girl. Every young guy who's ever dated and been around a hot piece of tail, you say, hey, you start dating this girl, you say to yourself, hey, I hope this works out because she's really fine. I want to tap that. Just using a little bit of male dominance, male thinking here. You go and you look down at her body, you look down and you say, I want this to work out. And you're ignorant of the fact that she has already put you off. She's already, been texting other guys. She's already been doing things that you know are not going to work long term, but you become willfully ignorant. You choose not to acknowledge it. So again, ignorance is the real problem with desire, you see. So gratification. Number two, permanence. This does not mean that you believe that when you get a fix, it's going to be permanent, like forever. It just means that it's going to be permanent enough to support gratification. So you know that by taking a hit of a drug or eating and going and pigging out and spending the day binging, you're going to feel satisfied just long enough to where you can catch your breath again, to where you feel like you'll have a few hours of peace and you can recollect. But the same spotlight problem is the issue, because you're not taking into account the regret you're going to have. You're not taking into account that when you enjoy something, it doesn't truly last even as long as you thought it did. And then finally we come to attainability. When was the last time you had a craving for getting a hold of the blueprints of a starship in the Andromeda Galaxy? It's never happened, because as far as you know, that doesn't exist. Maybe there's an alien race there with a powerful warp drive that we want to get a hold of and learn. But as far as you know, you don't want it any more than you miss the kids that you never had with your ex. You can't want them if you don't know them. That's the last leg of want. You don't crave Jones for drugs you've never been addicted to. You can't. So without all three of those, gratification, the expectation of gratification, the expectation of permanence, and the expectation of attainability, you don't have want, and therefore you don't have addiction. The one thing that fits all of those things, a gratification, something that offers true gratification, true permanence, and true attainability, is wisdom. But that's within you, not without you. How many of you have played that lottery with the Amazon packages? You say, I want that chest of drawers, and then you buy it, and then you start to play that lottery. Is it going to be on my doorstep when I get back? Is it going to be there? And then lo and behold, it's not there. But in a way, it's exciting because you're expecting it in the future. And then when you get it, either it's the wrong color, or it wasn't as big as pictured, or maybe you liked it and you only liked it for 15 minutes. Why? Because your expectation was that the package is attainable, and that you can get another one. So just tomorrow, I can order a new cell phone case, and in either tonight by 9 or tomorrow by 4, or even maybe sooner, maybe even 11 or 10, I'll have a new product at a fourth of the cost of going to the mall and buying a new case. All of that digression to make the point. Your expectation sets what it is you do, everything you expect. So you can't want something if the cake doesn't have all of those ingredients. That's what you crave. So with knowledge, you realize nothing external to you offers any of those things. Nothing external to you offers happiness. With that said, you begin, like we covered last time, the rebuilding process. Once you're broken of want, once you're broken of the desire to cling, you're faced with your own demons. You're faced with your own self-destruction, which proves to be the beginning of rebuilding. We covered this last time. So how can you better do this? What practical tips can you take to ward off any addiction whatsoever? Again, I don't care what the addiction is, it's all the same. Here's 2 exercises to do, and they always work if you want them to. Number 1, call to mind a state of mindfulness. This is called walking meditation or mindfulness meditation, and it is the most realistic form of meditation, and it makes sense and is probably the best life change you will do since eating once a day. If you're going about the day and you feel an overwhelming craving for whatever, you say to yourself internally, craving, 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 wanting, wanting, and you say it as you're wanting. What this has, the effect this has, don't say it out loud, you're going to look crazy, but say it internally. Say it like a flashing sign, a billboard in your mind. Wanting, wanting. This will call to mind what you already know. You already know that you're craving something and that you want to ditch your plans of self-control to chase it. But what this makes you do is it makes you think about it. So it spoils the results of sin, the spoils of sin. It takes it away and says, look, if you fall to this, it is your own fault, not anyone else's. This isn't something bigger than you. This is something you're choosing to do. In short, it gives you a gap, a stopgap that says, let's hold on a second. If you choose to do this, it's going to be you, not me. Not your body, not instinct, not fate, it's you. Wanting, wanting, you're able to view life as it really is. Now this doesn't stop there. You can do this in anything. If you're cooking, you say cooking, cooking, cooking. Sounds stupid, sounds pointless, right? But it's not, because it forces you to be in the moment. And if you're one of these people who are considered, attention deficit disorder, I talked about this last time, I'm not a fan of these terms. But if that describes you, if you have a hyperactive kid, this works with anybody and for any length of time, and you only have to do it a few seconds. It puts your mind in the moment and away from all of the crazy distractions that are all around you. And there are so many. Got to go to the post office, got to drop this off, got to do this. Oh, what's the matter? There's this lady in front of me who's going too slow. All the little pain points. And I speak from personal experience. They're horrible because I go throughout the day and I get in a hurry. I'm not patient. It's one of my biggest faults. Everybody around me notices it and talks about it. What I do is I point out to myself, hurrying, and if I'm driving, I say driving, driving, and the result is I start finding myself facing the fact that I'm driving, and that's all I need to do right then. I don't need to be angry. I don't need to curse someone under my breath. I can look aside and see if someone's next to me in the lane. I'm a more attentive driver. I'm a more attentive individual. I'm in that moment. So if you If you're shopping, you say the same thing, and it puts you in the moment so that you have your willpower back, you have your concentration back, you have your goal back. If someone is yelling at you, if you take care of aged parents who may not have their mind anymore, or if you live with family members who are aggressive with you, or friends or roommates, if they're yelling at you, for instance, you would say, yelling, yelling, yelling. And in that moment, you start to realize that what they are doing is not you. It's like a keyboard and a mouse. You plug in a new keyboard and it says new hardware detected. It reminds you of the fact that you did something, and that action is separate from you. It's a separate thing. And if it's separate from you, you can resist it and you can turn it away. In fact, you will find that you don't even want it anymore. Once you look down at candy that someone else made and wants you to have, and you don't want to eat it, you say, wanting, wanting, and you realize the wanting is not something you have to agree to. They made the candy. In short, you learn the difference between self and other. That, my friends, is the key to all meditation, and it is more valuable than probably anything else you will ever learn. Breathe while you do so, because when you breathe out carbon dioxide, you're actually breathing out fat. So when you're fasting, don't forget to breathe. Say that to yourself and take the time mentally to repeat that for just a few seconds. Your life will change, guaranteed. I promise you 100,000 times. The second is a visualization exercise. This will represent you, the true you. It is the void. It is at the center of your mind. Now place that in the, I hate these sorts of visualization exercises, but this, like the last point, is actually really useful. Picture a 3D sphere, a 3D square. It covers all of your view. The sphere is in the middle. And in all of the quadrants of this sphere are the things that you do. Eating, sleeping, time with your partner, your hobby number 1, hobby number 2, your work, your side hustle, everything that you do, including all the things that you would take for granted. Helping your neighbor rake leaves on Saturday, walking the dog, put everything in there. What you're going to find is all of the things that you are known for are not things that are you. They're incidental, which we are calling ego. The fact that you were born in the Midwest or in South Africa, the fact that you have the skin color, the metabolism you have, the last name that you have, the fact that you like a certain food and someone else does not, you're going to find that all of that is incidental. It doesn't matter. And so, carrying on with what we said in the previous video about being in the center of the earth and gravity equalizing, your new conception of self should be one that is completely void and featureless. That's how all humans are. The true you is like the eye of a hurricane. The eye of a hurricane, unlike the hurricane, has no wind. Inside the eye of a hurricane, there is nothing. Not even a breeze, not enough to pick a leaf, a dried, broken leaf off your hand. It's completely still. All of the madness is all around you. If you can separate yourself from that, you can succeed. So if you're craving, you want to drink, you know you shouldn't, the ball begins to move toward drinking. What do? Picture that in your mind and then move it back to the center. You are not drinking. You crave, you want to go out to, you're a gambling addict. You're starting to move toward, you're coveting. You move the ball back in the center. And keep that visualization at the center of your mind as you go throughout the day. Take a moment and recenter. And for some reason, that has been such a help to me. I know that it will be such a help to you. But the bigger point is, all of the things that a hurricane is known for, loss of life, flooding, disasters, roofs being blown off of houses, that's not the I. That's the things outside of it. You are not those things. So now you are equipped to manage anything that comes your way. You are the eye of the hurricane.
I'm like there are some guys that have chased their whole lives hurricanes and seen like dozens and dozens and never had anything like this.